Grim, level 12 upgrade. Today I'm going to be installing the RPM from Bulkhead. This was donated to me by Coyote0976. Let's go ahead and open this thing up and check it out. Alright, I went ahead and cut open the bag and I'm just going to go ahead and pull everything out. Now you can see that the Bulkhead comes in two pieces. With the stock one, it's already attached, but with the RPM one, you have these 3 extra screws that hold it together. Believe me guys, it has to be built this way, and you'll find out later on. Now, what else is in the bag? We have the instructions to put it together, as well as some hardware, and we have the RPM stickers. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed. The first thing to do is to remove the front assembly. It's held to the chassis using 4 screws. We have 2 right here and then 1 on each side of the inside of the chassis. I'm also going to be removing the screw that holds the steering linkage to the steering bell cranks. Once those screws are removed, I can easily just go ahead and pull off the front assembly. The center drive line comes out, don't worry about that, just set it off to the side. Next I need to take off the front bumper. Now if you have the stock bumper, you're going to have to remove 5 screws. We have 2 on top, and then these 3 on bottom. If you have the RPM bumper, all you have to do is remove these 3. Once you remove the front bumper, you're going to go ahead and take off 3 more screws. This front center one that's on the metal plate, and then these 2 left on the bottom. With those screws out of the way, you can go ahead and pull off this aluminum plate, followed by the pins that hold the A-arms to the bulkhead. Now you can see that the lower skid plate will come off the bulkhead. However, we can't remove it completely because it's attached to the steering bell cranes. So the next step is to remove these, and they're held on with 2 screws. One right here and the other there. Alright, so once you get those 2 screws out, you're just going to pull the steering bell cranks off from the skid plate. Now you're going to have to be careful because these bearings in the bottom of the bell cranks tend to get stuck on these posts. And if that does happen, you're going to have to pry them off. Just be careful, you don't want to damage the bearings. If you do damage them, you are going to have to replace them. So now we're going to go ahead and set this all off to the side and get the chassis. You'll see that the steering linkage arm is still attached. We're going to have to remove this screw and detach it. Now once you remove the steering linkage arm, you're going to be hooking it back up to the steering bell cranks. Make sure you attach it exactly like that with a screw going in through the top. Once you have the steering linkage connect to the steering bell cranks in exactly this position, it's time to go ahead and attach the upgrade. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and slide the steering bell cranks down onto the skid plate and attach the 2 screws that hold it down. With that taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and flip it upside down, and then we're going to get the other part of the skid plate and we're going to attach it to the bulkhead just like that. It's held in with these 2 screws. Once you take care of those 2 screws, you're going to go ahead and line up the front A-arms with the skid plate, and then you're going to slide these pins back in. Once you have the pins installed, you'll notice that when you push them, they'll go all the way in. The reason for this is we haven't attached the second part. Once we do so, it'll hold the pin in the proper position. But for now, you're going to have to keep them like this. So, once you have these pins like this, you're going to be attaching the front aluminum plate. Remember that the curve points up. Once you have it attached, it's held down with a single screw in the center. Once that is taken care of, it's time to go ahead and reattach the front bumper. Now remember, if you have the RPM bumper, all you have to do is attach the 3 screws on bottom. If you have the stock one, you're going to have to attach these 3 screws, including these 2 on top. Once you have the bumper back on, it's time to go ahead and start attaching this all back to the chassis, starting with the steering linkage. So how you're going to attach the steering linkage is you're going to have a screw going in through this side and attaching to the servo horn right here. Once you have your steering linkage hooked back up, make sure that your center drive line is in, and then you're going to get the back part of the skid plate, slide it into the chassis, and attach it using 2 screws, one here and the other there. Once you have this piece attached, just make sure that these screws in the top of the bell cranks is going into the chassis. If they're not, just go ahead and push them in like that. Now for the easiest part. All you have to do is slide in the front and attach 5 screws. We have 2 on top and 3 on bottom. Here is before, and here is after, guys. Check that out. Now you can see that it has some extra walls on the side to keep stuff from getting in there, as well as the 2 holes that were previously there from the stock skid plate is completely gone. Thank you very much, Coyote, for this awesome upgrade. And that was Grimm's level 12 upgrade. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and really... Okay, let's try that again. What to do is to go ahead and slide on the... I completely forgot what they're called. Steering bell cranks.